All right. Hello, hello. Hello, everyone who has joined in. Just let me know whether the mic is working. Let me know if the screen is visible. Just let me know in the chat. I don't have a chat monitor today, so it'll be slightly difficult, but let's see. Let me know if the audio is working. Okay, I have the chat with me now. Nice. Hey, Adarsh. Hi. Thank you for letting me know. I can see a lot of people joining in, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. Meanwhile, let me prepare a few things. Live Q&A. Yep. Nice. Cool. Just give me some time. I'm just preparing a few things. So we'll cover UX roadmap, and I hope you guys have gone through the video. If you have not gone through the video, if you have any other questions also related to where do you start getting into UX design, how is the market, what are people looking at, and things like that, then let me know. I see a big reflection of the screen on my specs. Can't help it. Maybe I'll just sit like this. No, not working. Anyway, fuck it. Actually, the chat is in front of me, which is a big white thing. That's why this blue reflection is coming in. Anyway, we can't take stress about that. So we'll wait. And meanwhile, let me open the Fig Jam board that we had prepared. YouTube. I myself don't have the Fig Jam board link apparently. Quite underprepared for this, I guess. But yeah, practical roadmap. I'm going to look at my own video and then get the link from that video. Interesting. Got it. But then for a very long time, I was not using FigJam. I thought it's just one of those gimmick products that Figma has created. But it is slightly useful, not that useful, but yeah, slightly useful, and it is definitely more useful than that presentation tool. Of course, others you can ask questions. Also, start sharing the screen. All right. So, first thing first, if you would have watched that video, the first section I have told basically all the other alternatives that one might actually, pursue rather than UX design. And one of the reason for that is since I talk with a lot of different types of designers, different types in the sense that different background people. One thing I've understood that a lot of people have a different lifestyle altogether. For example, their family is dependent on them doing a job, or they have a loan, or I mean, they are in a hurry to earn money, right? And they have legit reason for that. So for them, I have basically mentioned that UX is not the only way to earn, and becoming a UX designer is not the only way to be a UX designer. I'll explain that. Sounds crazy, but I'll explain that. So the idea is you can start with X and then become a UX designer, and that X can be graphic design, X can be front end engineer, X can be anything IT, X can be architecture, X can be even social media thumbnail designer, anything, right? Again, depending on your background, and you would be the right person to evaluate your background. You can basically start anywhere if you are in a hurry to earn money, and I know a lot of people have legit reason for that. If you are in that case, then you can basically start at any point, right? Start earning money, start paying bills, repaying your loans, supporting your family, whatever, right? These are your legit reasons. Of course, there will be other people who have the luxury of time to, take 6 months, 1 year to get into a proper shape to get your first UX design job. That is for their life. What you need to do is basically solve your immediate problem, right? And that is to make money, and you can start basically anywhere, right? So that's one thing that I really wanted to talk about. um anyway, let me go through this question. So, other sharks, how can I prepare a case study as a product designer instead of a UI UX designer? What difference should I highlight as a product designer compared to UI UX design? No, so there is actually no difference between a UI UX designer and a product designer. In one of my video, which is about what are exactly this difference between UX design, UI UX design, UI design, product design, interaction design, right? I basically mentioned that these are just two different school of thoughts, where somebody is a UX designer can be the same person who is a product designer, can be the same person who is called as a UX UI designer as well, or UI UX design, whatever, right? So many a times people do the exact same job but have different titles. So in most of the companies, your UI UX designer and the product designer is the exact same thing. In fact, I don't know a single company where they are not the same thing, right? Except for, let's say, companies like Philips and all, where product designer is actually a physical product designer. So that's the thing. If you are a physical product designer, then let me know in the chat, because I'm assuming you're not looking for a physical product design job. And also, I am not the right person to tell you how to be a physical product designer. So that is also there. But if it is about UI UX design, let me know in the comment. I'll again come back to this question if that's the case. The Figma link doesn't open. Is it too heavy to open in Chrome? No, I don't think so. I think I've tried opening. Oh, damn it. Actually, for me also, it is not opening. That's crazy. Interesting. Let's see. Mm, I'll probably have to publish it in what? No, I think I see a lot of people joining that Figma right now. So I think people are there. Or is it not? Let me know. Let me know if the Figma FigJam is not opening. I'll have to make it a community file and share it with you. It opens in Safari. Hey, what the fuck? Why? For the first time, I'm seeing that something opens in Safari and not in Chrome. Interesting. New insights. Cool. So, yes, UI UX side. So, let me go back to your question, Adarsh. So, how can I prepare a case study as a product designer? And people who have, seen me on live before, the idea is very simple. You need to think about what skills you need to be selling, right? Think from that perspective. What skill are people buying through your portfolio? When I'm saying people, these are your recruiters. So what are they buying from your portfolio? um, Again, depends on levels. Let's assume that you are a entry level designer or designer with 2 years of experience. People would expect, you know the process, and also you understand the limitations of certain things. For example, you know that these constraints exist, so I respect that constraint and then I'm designing for it. People would also expect you not to say fake your portfolio. I have a complete video on why you should not be faking your portfolio and why telling the truth actually plays to your advantage, right? um, then a little visual design skill is also, you know important these days. One thing is, recently what I've seen is visual design is not a selection criteria but a elimination criteria, right? And let me explain that. Selection criteria is, okay, this exists and this is something that I'm looking for, so I'll basically select this guy, checkbox, right? Elimination criteria is basically, okay, this person doesn't have this also, which means definitely deprioritize this profile, right? So if you are like creating super ugly looking case studies and your work is super ugly looking, even though we know that you can work with a design system, uh, but a lot of the time what we find is there are different candidate. Maybe you bring in everything else, and then you don't have visual design skill. But then what you're whom you're competing with are people who have the exact same skill set as yours plus visual design skill, and hence people will obviously prefer, you know, a candidate with visual design skill. So visual design is also again quite important. um, what else do people look for? Product sense, or what we call as product thinking. Try searching for this word called product sense or product thinking, and you will get some idea around what I'm talking about. So the idea basically is, can you think about a particular screen or a feature in the environment of that entire product, right? So for example, if you have created, let's say, a transaction screen, right? So have you thought about all the different situations, right, where the transaction screen might break? Or for example, say a transaction was incomplete or pending state, right? Or say, how does one generate a refund, right? Have you thought about those kind of flows, right? It's basically, in simple words, thinking through your design. It's not just one single flow, but all the different edge cases you should be able to think, and then all the different other feature that exist in a product should be able to connect to it, right? Or wherever it is required, it should be able to connect to it. One of the simple reason, or one of the simple example is Google Pay rewards. You would find that reward getting connected to multiple other things as well, right? So means the same scratch gesture is used to show reward, is used to advertise, and many other things within that Google Pay environment, right? So things like that you should be able to do. But yeah, I mean, the general idea is a decent product sense, a decent visual design skill, knows the process, and a bit of research, does not fake, has the work ethic, and things like that, right? So those are more important, rather than, I see a lot of people, especially people who have shared their Behance link for UI UX projects. I see a lot of them try to explain why they chose green color as their CTA, and then why this particular color palette, why they have chosen font this. These are, of course, if you know it, great, but then this is not something that we as recruiters are looking for uh, as the most important thing, right? So there are other things that we should be, more interested in. One of the thing is also, can you create multiple ideas and then evaluate those ideas and take one direction, right? So what can I give you as an idea? Basically A B testing stuff, right? Maybe you will not be testing it, but let's say, again, going back to the success screen of Google Pay, right? You can do it as a scratch card, or maybe you use a different interaction, right? Which is, say you tap thrice and something breaks, and then the card comes up, right? Versus scratch card, right? um, then what else? Maybe you just don't do all that reveal stuff, maybe just directly show the reward, right? So if these are the three different ideas of how do you reveal the reward, in that case the question is, can you do a pro and con of all the three things, and then say that if I do this, this is the pro and con, if I do this, this is the pro and con, if I do this, this is the pro and con. I know that this particular one does not is not, like, it is not flawed, but I would like to pick this one for blah 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 reason, right? So can you, you know talk about your design in that lens, which is, I know there are three ideas, I know the flaw exists here, but I look at the all other options, and I feel this is the one that I want to go to, right? So idea generation, idea evaluation, feature uh, priority, and all of those things are quite important, right? So work ethic and the way you communicate also in that particular portfolio round is very important as well. So those are the things. One thing I also want to bring to your notice is, there should be two kind of case studies. One which is written heavy, which is self explanatory. This is the one that you should be sending the link to your HR, And then one that should be your presentation one, which is how usually happens is you will, when you apply for a job, you will send your resume and your portfolio. This portfolio should be self explanatory, and in the portfolio round you will be presenting the portfolio. So create a different version of that portfolio where you would be walking through the screens and talking rather than having like plethora of text on the screen, right? So make sure that works. All right, next question. Amit Singh asks how to be more creative. So I recently posted a reel called Vector Choreography on this song called, I forgot, Ishq Risk, right? Uh, and Imran Khan's Katrina Kaif Ishq Risk, right? A lot of people asked, how do you create this? How do you create this? Which tool and all of that? So tool doesn't matter. I think creativity is the main thing. Let me know, by the way, if you have seen that reel. It was the first reel that reached 1 million. It's currently at 1.6 million. So thank you. But a lot of people asked like, how did you think about it? How did you create it? 95% of people were curious about which tool, right? But the game is not exactly which tool. The game was basically how do you think about it, right? And I feel, there are two ways to be creative. Okay, again, nowhere written, but let me explain from my experience. One is you create by looking at constraints, right? For example, if I were to think about, like I said, Google Pay, I need to show reward, right? So my context or the constraint is some reward will come up and I need to show it. And then there will be all other elements in the screen as well, so I'll get a small space for me to basically show the reward, right? And the next thing is in visual hierarchy, where should the reward stay, right? Obviously it is not going to be above success message, right? The success tick is the highest one, then the number is the next one, probably the name of the person is the next one, maybe the fourth layer is your reward one, right? So I've already put down those constraints. Now I'm thinking in a small box. Okay, this is the space that is assigned to me. Now how do I make something exciting, right? So one of my, then I start thinking about lateral thoughts, right? So what you see here is first did the confinement, right? I first defined the context, right? And then I'm thinking, okay, inside that box what else can I do? So this is one way of thinking. So for example, one idea would be obviously scratch card. The other idea would be, like I said, tap thrice, something breaks, like a brick wall is there, you tap thrice and the brick wall breaks. Or the another interaction would be, a brick wall is there, every brick you tap it breaks and falls apart, right? And then you slowly show that message, right? Another idea could be, it's a scratch card and you do a swipe, it flips and it shows the reward, right? Another idea, by the way, I'm not thinking, I'm just thinking it on the live, right? So another idea is you directly show it, right? What else can be another idea? Hmm, I don't know. Maybe it's a gift box. You swipe down and then the gift box basically opens like this, right? Can be another idea. Or the gift box is there, you tap on it, just opens and falls down, right? Or it's like in a toffee wrapper, you swipe it and the wrapper basically tears and opens like this, right? So many ideas can be there on that. But the general idea here is you are limited to the affordances, which is it's a screen and then only a few gestures is possible. I could have thought of, okay, how about the wrapper is there and I do this gesture and then it opens up from the middle, right? But then you know that the constraint is this is not a traditional gesture, right? The traditional gestures are swipe or click and that much, right? Maybe multiple clicks, but that's all, right? So what you do is you first limit your choices to that confined thing, and then you say that, okay, this is the space, this is the message I want to provide, and then you start thinking, okay, that's one way to be creative. The other way to be creative is, again, when I'm saying creative, one thing is also be exposed to a lot of, you know similar environments or similar situations. For example, the toffee thing that I told you, someone recently showed me from a Pokemon card game that their rewards are shown like this, right? How in PUBG we had this scatter box that will drop, and then you click on it, maybe that shows that this is something, say some gun skin or hat or some glasses that you earn. Similarly, in Pokemon, they get this toffee kind of a thing. You swipe it and it opens and it shows rewards, right? So you need to be exposed to a lot of these competitors, not exactly competitors, but similar interactions for that matter, right? So creativity, again, in the purest sense, is basically connecting a few random dots here and there, right? So toffee box, opening the toffee is a form of revealing something, right? So you take that gesture and you put it and you apply it here. Scratch card is basically again the same thing. Lottery ticket used to have those, and they took it and used it, right? So you need to basically look at all these different dots first, create those dots, and then later you will connect, right? Again, when you create those dots, you keep in mind that this is the constraint, right? That is one way of creative. And in design, this is how we usually think, which is you become very analytical and very rational first, and then you create, right? So that's creativity. But that thing about real, right, or think about filmmaking or uh, art in general, which is very open canvas in nature, right? Which is you can basically do whatever shit you want to do, and you just have a very broad canvas, and then you don't have to explain everything. Like, you are not Christopher Nolan, where every pixel on the screen in your movie, every frame has a reason for why it exists, like that, right? You don't have to be always like that. Sometimes you have the creative liberty to express whatever you want to express, right? In that case, you don't put that constraint that this is what is possible, right? You think of, okay, fuck it, what if everything is possible, right? Then if I want to achieve this, if I want to express this, if I want to, story tell this, what are all the different ways that I can tell, right? So for example, in that reel, what happens is, मुश्किलों में डाले मुश्किलों में ऐसा डाले is that lyrics, okay? मुश्किलों में ये डालें, right? So there is a person, there is mushkil written, the person enters and mushkil opens and this person enters, it becomes must kill, right? So that mushkilon mein dale can be thought in many different ways, right? I can write mushkil and put a person into it, or mushkil can be shown through th- thorns and spikes, right? And somebody enters it, right? Or so then the next line was, jo bhi chahe kara le. What I do is I do a voodoo reference wherein a pin goes and enters that doll's head. So now that doll is under control. Jo bhi chahe kara le. So that doll is under control, right? At that time, what I could have also done is, muskil is basically that one pin, and that doll that falls exactly onto that pin, right? It is also muskilo mein dale, right? I don't know, for people who have not seen what I'm saying, it might just sound stupid, but I'm just saying that the way to execute, there are just multiple ways to execute, right? And the way I thought about it, I thought that this does not, I mean, there is no constraint for me. And that is why I like creating content as well. There is no constraint for me. So, two ways to think about it: first constraint, then liberty. Or you first become very liberal, or very lateral in your thinking, and then think whether something is feasible or not feasible, right? I think there are two ways. So, yeah, I think I over explained, but you got the idea. Constraint first, lateral thinking second, or lateral thinking first, constraint second, or basically choosing what is feasible second. Those are basically two ways that I have seen work. In design, mostly you first choose the constraint, and then within your box you think. Cool. um, Let me know if I'm over explaining also. I just really wanted to explain that part, but yeah, fuck it. uh Hi, I have no background degree in design, but want to switch to UI UX. Have started watching Figma tutorial videos, etc. But which certificate courses would you suggest which is actually worth? See, no certificate is actually worth it. Like, for example, I am from NID, which is probably one of the topmost design college, right? Nobody asked me for that certificate. So so if if one of the most prestigious certificate in the country is not even, nobody even asks for that, nobody asks for your certificate as much, right? And even, let's say in Zeta, when I joined, what, I was probably the 20th designer of that batch, and I think only two designers were there from NIT. Everybody else was without a design background. Probably three designers had design background, everybody else were non-designers. So in the industry right now, it's not really a mandatory thing that you have to have a background in design and things like that. You have to have the skill, you should be able to sell that skill, and that's what people are looking for, right? So I can't really tell you that a particular certificate is important or anything. I've showed you the, what is it called, the roadmap, right? For me also, by the way, this fig jam is not opening, but I've given you the entire list of all the skills that is required to become a UX designer. If you want to learn it from any place, you can learn it. Certificates have zero value, right? So yeah. Next is, in my honest opinion, as a product designer, I always learned, was advised that you are a product designer if you are asked to consider KPIs, metrics, and design process is, I don't know, cyclical in addition to UX. Yeah, of course. I mean, once you get into the industry, that's when you start looking at KPIs, metrics, and your North Star metrics. Are you trying to, are you able to reach that? How are you thinking about designing and all of that? But as an entry level designer, you are not really, just as a beginner, it would become a surprise for you, right? There must be seniors or product managers who will help you in that journey, right? So yeah, again, that doesn't mean that a UI UX designer should not think about KPIs, metrics, and every designer, every employee in the company actually thinks about KPI and metrics, not just designers. So yeah, everybody in the product team, engineering team, everybody thinks about KPIs. In fact, for most well structured companies, so the company has a North Star metrics, or certain metrics that they want to basically, get good at. Those are your main initiatives, and based on that, other initiatives flow down, and then you are part of one of those streams that, basically contribute to one of the bigger things, right? For example, let's say my metric is the number of people doing transactions in Google Pay needs to increase, right? Or forget Google Pay. Let's say my metrics in Facebook is, I want more and more people to create reels. Okay, again, create reels doesn't mean that my metrics is there should be more watch time on my platform. It doesn't mean that uh, more people should be watching my content and all of that, right? So you become very focused about that, more and more creators should be there on my platform, right? And if you're solving for that, then how do you, there must be then few problems to solve, right? There are dormant creators who are creating on other platforms but not on your platform. Then how do you incentivize them to create on the platform? There are creators on other platform, how do I bring them to my platform, right? Let's say, for example, TikTokers are there, how do I bring them to this platform, right? And how do I help them get their followers from other platform to this platform, right? Or there are celebrities who exist on x.com but are not on Instagram, so how do I bring them to this platform, right? Because with celebrities comes all other people as well. A very recent thing is Cristiano Ronaldo joining YouTube, right? So how did YouTube manage to bring Cristiano Ronaldo? Maybe they didn't manage, maybe he just joined by himself, but somewhere, someday, some person's KPI is to basically bring more creators on the platform. So everybody is actually concerned about all those metrics, right? Everybody's work is aligned to one of those goals of the company. So it's not just product designer. You have a valid point that this is something that happens, but every employee in the company actually is aligned to KPIs and metrics. Cool. Can you talk about importance of networking references in finding new roles? Of course. The current company that I joined, Tide, let me give you a very honest reason how I joined it. So one of our guests on one of this podcast, one of this live sessions in the Curiosity community. By the way, if you're not part of Curiosity community, it's our WhatsApp community. There are about 6,000 designers. We do networking. We do job posting. We do Q&As. We do live sessions like this and many such things. Right. So Vaibhav used to work at Tide. There was an opening at Tide. He referred me. I applied, but then that opening closed down. Okay. Then I was looking for a job. I had a few job offers in my hand. Bio was about to leave Tide. That's when he referred me for his position that he left. And then basically he left. He joined a different company, and basically filled that place, right? And again, because of his reference only, I was able to cut the line and join there, right? So it is extremely important to network, and it is very hard to explain the luck that comes with networking, right? Like, who would have thought that he would leave and then I would join the same place, right? It's super luck, but somewhere down the line I would have worked to basically build this community, to discover Baiva, and Baiva was glad enough to come to our community. He was a guest speaker, and then that connection was built. Imagine the level of luck happened there, right? Randomly some guy creates a community, randomly some guy who is interested in sharing knowledge gets a platform. Both of these people connect. One guy leaves the company, other one is looking for the job, joins the company, right? This is hard to explain, saying that networking is important because of blah 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 reason, but only thing I can say is the surface area of luck is something that is going to increase when you network, right? And while I was looking for a job, there were so many people from NIT, so many people from NIT, so many people from my family circles helped me, for so many people from Zeta as well helped me get the next job, right? They referred me in so many places, and that's how this thing happened. In fact, in our last live, we had Anudish as the guest. He had referred me in Microsoft. I had 2 3 rounds in Microsoft because of his referral, right? So again, networking, it's just hard to do a one is to one mapping of, do networking get this. But what really happens is the surface area of luck just increases when you network with a lot of people, right? And references are just super super important, especially when these days any decently known company, when they open a entry level job, 2,000 people apply, right? I have seen that in Zeta, where Zeta is a fairly well known company in design circle. So when they had opened a internship position, and or a very L1 kind of a position, 2,000 odd people applied in like 4 days. Like, I'm like, only one person is going to get through, right? So networking is super helpful, because what happens is all these referenced people will get the first chance, right? So getting referrals is very useful. Which tool was that? If you're asking about, what do you call it, a vector choreography, then that tool was obviously Figma. I had created a prototype using Figma. So yeah. Next question is, how many projects to be included in the portfolio as a fresher, and what kind of case studies to showcase, like design, app design, website, etc. Great. As a fresher, I've always said that, and I've said that in my recent video as well. Please go ahead and watch that. It's going to be very useful. Create 5 case studies. Okay. First two are just to use and throw, right? Create your case study and then take feedback on it. Learn from that experience. Throw those case studies, because I'm pretty sure those are going to be shit case studies, right? Then create your third, fourth, and fifth. And probably the fifth one is your very, broad case study, where you pretty much sell all your skills, you showcase all your skill, you solve a very deep problem or a general problem but deeply, right? And then that should be your main project, right? Project number one. Then you have your second project, which can be something which is complementary sales killer of the first project. What I mean by that, I'll give you my example. I had one project which was a very in-depth 0 to 1 project. I had 3 projects. One was a very in-depth project showing all my product design skills. Okay, that was there, but it did not have much research, right? Because the time was limited, we did not go for much of research. We did a bit of secondary research, and that was it. So my second project was a research deep project, right? So when I was applying for jobs, if anybody wanted to, understand whether I can do research or not, I'll show them a little bit of my second project, right? Because that would fill in all those skill gap that the first project would not show, right? And then the third project for me, one of the tactics I use is basically make it a show reel of everything wow that I can create, right? So it had all the different stuff that I did at Zeta, which is magazine, interaction designs, animations, uh, I don't know, bunch of other stuff that we did, which were visually wow, which were clever designs, which were delightful designs and things like that, right? And it was like a 30-second or 1 minute reel kind of a thing, right? So I usually tell people that go for three projects, one super deep, one which is complementary to that, and then the third one is up to you, right? What kind of project depends on like what kind of company you want to apply to. Website design, I would say, I mean, don't worry too much about website design. Rather go for app design, mobile, and uh, a very B2B app would be wise to have in your portfolio. Or if you want to be very B2B ish only, then have two B2B kind of projects. B2B again, like a dashboard kind of project, like a YouTube studio kind of a project, right? um, or you can do two app designs as well, which is consumer facing Swiggy kind of a app design. So up to you. I mean, that is not a constraint, but website is slightly less, what do you call it, complex, I would say, in most cases. Also because it is very templatized in nature, right? Which is why you may not be able to sell the right skills with a website design. So but if you have like a very complex website, then it might also work out. For example, let's say, how do you um, explain a particular cryptocurrency on their website, right? Let's say the website is targeted to non-crypto community. So how do you explain cryptocurrency to non-crypto company, or sorry, non-crypto community? That's a tough challenge to basically explore, right? But then the thing with website is you don't have a lot of states, you don't have a lot of complexity in that case. What are states? All of that I have covered in, again, the last video that I just what do you call it, released what, 6 hours ago. So yeah, uh, it has less scope of complexity. So I would always say app and B2B dashboard kind of stuff would be more useful. Next is in 2025, what are the job market scenarios for designer as a fresher, and how can we get enter the market in this condition? It's going to be tough. If you're entering the market, it's going to be tough. I'll have no other sugar coated word for it. But the thing is, people are waiting since 2023 to get a job, right? So you are competing with them, you are competing with people who are waiting in the line since 2024, right? They have been applying for companies, they are getting rejected, they are taking feedback, they are using mentors to get feedback, and they are improving on their designs, right? So they are in the line. People with 1 year experience, 2 year experience, they are switching jobs, they have live portfolios, they have real work, not just personal projects. They're waiting in the line, right? So you have to understand that you are not competing with people with zero experience. You are competing with people who are hungry for that job since 1 year, 2 year, or they have the experience and they are still competing with you, right? So it is going to be tough one, but there is no other way but to basically compete, right? So it's going to be tough anyway. um, Even if more jobs open up, that doesn't mean that the market is going to be any easy. It's going to be tough. That's why I said that you can start with X and move to UX, or graduate to UX, right? Whatever other job also you are getting in that domain, don't think that okay, 6 LPA, 8 LPA, 10 LPA is where I'll start. If you are getting any other job also, you can start there, and then slowly also start trying to get into UX as well, right? So the market is going to be tough. What is the thing that makes difference, that actually differs payroll of a UI UX designer? Is it a skill set, presentation, communication, time, office politics, just luck? Well, of course, luck is a big factor, but how that uh, payroll thing happens is every different company have their different bandwidth for different designers. For example, somebody like a TCS or a design studio like Lollipop or Think Design or things like that, they have a certain pay scale for entry level designers, right? Again, they are service based, so most likely they're going not going to pay at 10 LPA, 8 LPA, but what they will be paying you at is, let's say, 3 to 5, 6 LPA, that range, right? So it varies a lot between companies. Even with product companies also, there are companies who would not pay that high, like 8 to 10 LPA, but a startup might just pay because they are well funded, they want to attract the best talent, so they are eager to get the best of talent. And when I'm saying best of talent, best of talent usually have multiple offers, right? So they would find the best offer and they will join there, so they know how to attract the best talent. One of the leading factor is high salary. So yeah, that's how people attract high salaried or high skilled people as well, right? So it is a mix of which company you're applying to, how skilled you are, and of course luck, right? Another thing is also market. For example, 2021, I knew a lot of people who joined at 8 LPA, 10 LPA, even 6 LPA was probably the lowest. Right now, the same companies can afford to hire talented people at 4 5 LPA as well, because there is just too many people waiting in line, right? The demand is low, the supply is too high. So they can say, okay, if I throw 4 LPA also, I'm getting similar talent, so why not just throw 4 LPA, right? But in general, the most important factor is the particular company, right? If they have a certain pay scale, pay range for a particular role, then you will be getting in that pay range only. Also, another factor is um, different cities, right? We have done our surveys. I don't know if you know, but we did a survey back in 2021, did in 2022, and try to understand how the pay scale changes over the states. So Bangalore pays quite well. Mumbai pays okay, but then the cost of living in Mumbai is also very high. Now the Bangalore also has a very high cost of living. Delhi, okay, okay. Chennai, okay, okay, and things like that. Right, so Bangalore pays very high, maybe because of the data from startups or well-funded startups at that time. I'm talking about 2021. So there are many factors, but the general few factors are the company should have the bandwidth, um, or the range, and then you should also have the talent to crack that company. Crack in the sense that you are competing with people with the highest skill set applying for that job role, right? So those are few factors. Can you share your experience on your interview rounds at the red Microsoft? Um, it was fine. I think every big company have kind of similar structure of interviews, so it was just fine. The first round was portfolio. For some reason, the second round they thought that I did not have the first round, so they initially thought I was going to do the same portfolio round, but later they did a whiteboarding kind of a round maybe, or I don't know. One of the round was whiteboarding, one of the round was portfolio, and probably both the rounds were portfolio. I don't remember what it was. Usually, bad experiences I forget soon. So it was not exactly bad experience. It was the bad outcome, which was I was not selected. So I forgot. But I had actually applied to multiple position at Microsoft. So I got rejected at one position. I think I got rejected in the Windows team, but some other support center team or something like that was still open. It was just that I had to join tied early, so I did not go ahead with that. But it was fine. I mean, the people were uh, what is called patient enough to listen to whatever I was saying. They're asking good questions, deep questions, and things like that. So yeah, it was fine. uh, I think any big company have the same process, by the way. So yeah, and sometimes my portfolio does not align with what kind of profile they are looking for it. So mine is a very mobile B2C heavy kind of a portfolio, right? So hence Microsoft probably is a enterprise software kind of a place, right? Maybe my profile did not land there, so it's fine. How how ageism in design, eh? What? How ageism in design industry? How's ageism in design industry? What kind of roles do people who are 40, 50 plus take up? Do they catch up with current industry practices? I think you are asking about, so there are people who are earning a very high range. By the way, 40-50 is not exactly a very high range, to be honest. In UX product companies, startups, it is not a super high range, by the way. I don't know if you're surprised, but it is not. It is decent. It is decent for a 5 to 7 year experience person. So yeah. Do they catch up with current industry practices? So far, the teams that I have been, they have been very, very, what do you call it? Very up to date and very skilled. And I have never seen people who are like not skilled and are in the company and they're just blabbering shit. Very few people or I have heard about like that, right? At least in my experience, I've never seen anybody who is like zero experience or do not have, the skill set, just are floating managers that they were in a particular company for a very long time, so they just graduated to lead to manager and things like that. I have not seen those kind of profiles in my career, at least. I've heard that, okay, certain people have just been in the company because of whatever reason, they have just been there, so they have just risen up to a particular standard. But I think UX industry is pretty new in that case, right? Probably the UI UX designer role started somewhere in 2012, 13. I might be totally off and totally wrong, but I feel some of the starting companies where your Clear Trip, your housing, uh, Flipkart, I think those were the first few companies where high paying UX designer role really started. But I could be really wrong. Like maybe Amazon, Microsoft, Google also had that. But yeah. Um, so the short answer to this is I have seen people age up well. I have seen people develop certain other skill set, right? It's not exactly about using Figma, FigJam, slides. All of that shit is like super basic, right? If you can learn Figma in one day or 2 day, then it's not really that kind of a skill that you should be thinking too much about after you have a particular experience range, right? So how you basically graduate is you take up accountability and you take up responsibility as you grow up in your ladder, right? So you take up responsibility of handling a few other designers, mentoring them, and then managing them, and then managing your stakeholders who are your bosses. How do you present your case? How do you push for certain things? Those are other skills that you'll develop, not just moving pixels and designing and then thinking strategy and things like that. Then again, I'm not saying that those are low value skills. I'm just saying that once you go up in the ladder, your responsibility changes, your point of leverage changes. For example, if you are a director, then you're basically managing a lot of managers and leads, right? Then you are basically telling them do this, do that, and whatever. I don't know, I'm not a director, I don't know what director does, but I'm just saying that the leverage basically increases. The number of things that you influence in the company actually increases, right? So that's why they are paid more and they take more accountability as well. Aditya says, hey, I think this is Aditya Krishna. If that is the case, then hello, my ex manager. So thank you for joining in. By the way, I think Aditya is also hiring. Aditya Krishna, go search for a company called Multiplier. Aditya Krishna is hiring, so please go and visit his profile and check. Anyway, I have issues in solution UX where I frequently miss out gaps in my case study. What is your suggestion I should do? Everybody misses in design, man. That's why design is iterative. So first time you create something, you put it to live audience or you test it, and then you see, okay, certain things are gaps. Then you take the feedback and you iterate. You try to fill up those gaps. So that's how it usually works, right? Um, just try to not make the same mistake twice, and taste your design, and get feedback, and then fill in those gaps. That's like the simple design process. And just, I mean, relax that this is normal, right? Design will have gaps. uh, think about any bloody app that you have, right? They get updates. Why do they get updates? Because there were gaps. so so if everything has a version, and every product, keeps improving over time, then it's just normal to create designs based on whatever skill set you have, knowledge you have, constraint you have, team you have. All of that contributes to the output. And the only thing that we can do as product creators, digital product creators, is get the feedback and use it to make a better product. Great questions. How did you crack an idea? And the next one is, how were your sketching skills? I had made a video on this. So I was the second worst sketcher at NID. So what that means is, the other person who was probably worse than me used to draw stick figures. When somebody asked draw a human, he would draw stick figures, right? And I was the second worst, who used to put at least a bit of flesh to those stick figures. That is how bad my sketching skills were. So at my time, at NID, the paper used to be a generic aptitude paper, 70% aptitude, 30% sketching skills. 100 marks exam. Cutoff used to be different for different branches, right? I had applied for interaction design, information design. Interaction design, I think the cutoff was somewhere around 68, 69, the year that I had applied. So I was thinking I'll score 70 out of 70, and the drawing can go to 2 3 out of 30, right? And I think I almost scored that. I don't remember whether I scored 70 or 69 or 68 or something like that, but my aptitude is very good. I have never practiced aptitude. The only thing that I've done for aptitude was look at previous year aptitude uh, questions, and then take a stab at it. I figured out that it was easy for me for whatever reason. Maybe the engineering background, maybe I don't know, genetics, because I know my father is very analytical thinker. So maybe that, or maybe I've just grown up to be a very analytical thinker, thinking through things, breaking down problems and things like that. Or maybe I was lucky. So all of that thing worked together, and I pretty much scored 70 out of 70 or 69 out of 70 or something like that in my aptitude. And then in drawing, I scored some 3 to 5 marks out of 30, right? So my total was somewhere around 72 to 75, somewhere between that. And yeah, that's how my round one was cleared. Second round was around portfolio. I was already working in a company called Tally, and I was working at the time when GST was launched. It was a very big time for Tally, right? It was once in a decade kind of a moment for Tally, and I had done some good work there. I was able to present that. The best part was I was able to present, the impact and the scale of that thing. And NID, I have seen that they usually like the fact that somebody is, interested in solving for India, right? Solving for Bharat is what I say. Somehow I have figured out that most of the people who go there would create projects, would solve for India, for context of India, and not just to replicate a Uber or a Ola or a Swiggy or a Zomato or things like that, right? So somehow I had figured out that, and I knew that all of my projects also aligned in the same line. All I needed to do was basically tell them how this is a very Indian problem that I'm solving, right? So something like that really worked for me, I guess. I don't know what really worked for me. Nobody really told me why I was selected, but I think that was one of the reason. The other reason, I was recently watching one of the professor from IIT Bombay. He was saying most of the people who get selected in IDC, we ask them this one question: why are you here? Why are you interested in design? And most of the time, the answer is very intrinsic reason to create, right? So there are very few people in this world, apparently, what he says. Obviously, from his experience, if he's saying that, it then it is very much true that there are few people who are very intrinsically driven to create things, right? And I think I have always been very intrinsically driven to create things, right? So maybe somewhere at NIT they would have asked the same question and I would have given an honest answer about it. So maybe that would have also played. Obviously luck, obviously a bit of skill, obviously a few strategy, those things work together. So yeah, sketching skill zero, like zero sketching skill I had. But I was able to communicate my ideas. Not like I'm super proud of not having sketching skills. It's just that I was able to somehow communicate my ideas, and that somehow worked for whatever goddamn reason. So yeah, if I ever get a chance, then I would really like to be a good sketcher. But fine. What is your opinion? Should I join as an intern in a company where there is no design team, or a team where with an existing design team? Obviously, with an existing design team. My goal is to learn and grow in a design field. Yeah, obviously with a design team. The kind of people who should join as a solo designer, I would say they should have like good experience already in a particular company, having a bunch of different mentors. I think they are the best people to join a particular company as the first designer, right? Because they already have certain experience and they can, tell what is wrong, what is right in terms of user experience. Otherwise, most of the decisions will be driven by the product managers and the product team, or even the CEO himself is going to interfere into the conversation. So that is why I feel you should definitely join a design team that already exists and not be the first designer in that company. So that puts me in relief. Thank you for detailed explanation. Really would help me in next coming month. Thank you so much. Are there more questions coming in? I don't know how many questions I've answered, but I liked whatever you guys have answered. Let me share my screen. By the way, guys, can you tell me if the same thing happens for you as well, which is this link is not opening for you, is it? Because it is not opening for me. Let me know if it is not opening for you, and if it is opening in Safari, right? Or in any other browser, let me know. Windows folks, please tell me if it is opening in any other browser. Anand has a question: how can one manage time and pace up while creating case studies, and how much time a person should generally give on a single case study? Not sure, man. I mean, depends on where you are, right? Like, for example, your first case study will take 2 weeks maybe to create, right? Or maybe more than that, depending on. Again, I'm thinking from the point that, okay, opening in Opera, opening in Chrome, great. So I'm thinking from the point of view that you have already done a particular project and then you're thinking of documenting it in the case study. I feel 1 week is good enough to create a documentation of a case study. How much time you want to design, it is up to you. What kind of complex problem you have picked up, and what process you want to follow, it is up to you. But to document, I think 1 week is good enough. And if you have already done a case study, then doing the second case study is going to be faster, right? So obviously the first one is going to take more time, The second one is going to take less time. But I would say that it is very much possible to learn everything that I have shared in the roadmap within 6 months, for sure. Like, 6 months is too much. If you are honest and if you are giving 6 to 8 hours every day, I think 6 to 8 hours is still lesser because you will have your weekends, right? Or maybe if you're not doing anything and you're only doing UX studies, then 6 months is a lot of time, right? So you have to really work super hard. But I might be biased in the sense that when I look at the time when I used to prepare for IIT JEE, right? I think those were the toughest time of my life. So at those days, we used to work really hard, right? 12 hours, 14 hours we used to put. Even when we are going to school, right? 7 a.m. you go to school, 1 a.m. you come back from school, have lunch, 1 hour you sleep, 3 p.m. tuition starts till 7 p.m. Come back, do your homework. How much time have you spent into education, right? Like, a lot of time, 12 hours or 10, 12 hours as children we were giving to our work, whatever our work was. So 6 to 8 hours is like doable, right? It's something that no one told you to become a UI UX designer, right? You chose this problem for yourself, right? You could have been any other profession that your parents wanted to be, and but then you chose to be this person. If you're passionate about it, then you should be able to give 6 8 hours, right? So if you give that, then 6 months is good enough for you to learn UX and then create case study and apply for jobs, right? All of that can happen within 6 months. If you are a fast learner, then that can happen within 4 months, 3 months as well, right? So the only place where you would be slowed down is when you join a group uh, class, right? Be it a cohort, be it a college, be it anything else, right? Wherever there is a group and there is this one teacher who is teaching, you will learn at the pace of the slowest learner in that class, right? Because nobody wants to leave behind that person to fail, right? So the classroom experience is usually created for the lower average student most of the time, right? So if you are not that person, if you are a very skilled learner, then you don't have to depend on any of this classroom program. You can have that classroom program for your peace of mind and for holistic learning and whatever, but then at your own pace you should be like a rocket, right? You should just spend 6 8 hours every day, and then 6 months is just too much of time to learn UX. Cool. How do you tackle critique in interview? Like, if a senior designer in an interview says that your solution is not solving the core problem, that should be what should be my reply? No, so you mentioned that what was your core problem, right? And then how you are solving it. If he is saying that no, you are not solving the core problem and you are not able to defend it, then there are two things: either he is right, or you are not able to communicate your thoughts well. So th- you probably are wrong, or you're not able to communicate. If you're wrong, then go and solve the design. If you're not able to communicate, then solve communication, right? It's pretty straightforward. Cool. Let's I wanted to share my screen with IFS sharing the screen, or are there any other questions coming in? I'll wait for a few seconds, 10 20 seconds maybe, to see if any other question is coming in. Otherwise, I'll share the screen and we'll do a small walkthrough of that video. Not exactly the video, but that fig jam board. I'll go through actually the references that I had shared in that fig jam board. So your um, Erica Hall's Just Enough Research, and then what else? Some AI tools, some other stuff. We'll see. Other books that I have. This particular book, right? Um, Design Elements, a graphic style manual. this book also will talk about it. It's very interesting. We have one more question. So, how to stay motivated? I graduated 3 months ago and I'm preparing for NID right now. Good. Congratulations that you have graduated and best of luck for NID. How do you stay motivated? So, the way it works for me is I try to observe progress, right? If I get a sense of progress, then I'm usually motivated. It doesn't mean that I'm always motivated. Sometimes I'm just not motivated, and without motivation, also we need to keep working, right? So sometimes survival is a motivation, sometimes appraisal is a motivation, sometimes making money is a motivation, sometimes um, you know what do you call that? Escaping someone's rage is a motivation. Sometimes not losing the job is a motivation. So those things are there. Usually, the core motivation is getting a sense of progress. At least the positive one is getting a sense of progress. So, for example, let's say that particular roadmap, right? 112 items are there in that roadmap. The way you would get a sense of progress is if you actually create a plan out of it. You say that, okay, I want to cover all these things within, let's say, 12 days, right? Every day you have, said that, okay, this block I'll complete in today, next block, next day, and so on, right? If you create a checklist and if you keep checking them off as you study them, then you will feel motivated, you will feel the sense of progress. So that is one way to do it. And other way, I don't know, like, if people appreciate you, that's motivation. For that, you need to be around the right kind of people to really understand what you're doing and appreciate you, right? So that's there. And what else? I mean, if you can look at your old work and your new work and you can see a difference, then you will feel that, okay, you have grown in life. So one of the thing is, the way I get motivated around content creation is I look at my old videos. I was not able to talk that fluently. Today also I'm okay, but then I see, okay, great, at least I can talk now. So that's motivating to me, right? Seeing a sense of growth, that, okay, I have been doing this. It's almost like in gym, right? Every day you will not see a change, but in a month you will see a change. So the ability to document those things so that you can visualize later is a one way to motivate. um what else? Basically, it's like you create a goal and you slowly make progress, and that should be good enough. But you can find your own motivation, maybe. uh, this is actually a good segue to ask this question, and please, whatever, whoever are there on the call, let me know if you're struggling to be disciplined, right? Because a lot of the time what happens is we decide that we want to do this. 3 days later, especially this January is coming, right? All this resolution is going to come in, right? New year resolution. I know a lot of people won't be able to go through 3 days of that resolution. So how do we help that situation, right? What I've seen with some of my gym buddies, I don't go to gym, but some of my friends are like gym bros, right? So what they do is they have this one WhatsApp group. Whatever they eat, and they have to be very disciplined about what they eat, right? They just can't eat random shit. So what they do is every day what they're eating, they will click a picture and then put it in the WhatsApp group. Nobody really comments on that WhatsApp group or anything like that. It is just for their own accountability. Everybody at a particular time of the day will just click a photo of whatever they ate. They'll post it. So that keeps them accountable, right? That every day I'll have to do this. And sometimes when you miss it, then your trainer would be like, hey, what's up, where is your picture? So that also happens, but that trainer is paid. So he will he will do that nudging. But otherwise, in general, I have heard that that framework works, which is you showing your progress, you're talking about your work every day to the people who will understand what you're doing. is is good for your discipline, right? So if you want a accountability group like that, I have the community, I have the connection of designers. So I would be able to help you with that by creating a WhatsApp group called as accountability partner or accountability group. And then you can join in, and every day at 10 p.m. at night, we can just say that this is what I covered today and this is what I'm planning to do tomorrow, right? And then you just keep on posting that every day at 10 p.m. So every day you will be motivated to do something just to show up to your peers and say that, okay boss, today I did not waste my time, I did something. So you can have your cheat days, but I've seen that that kind of stuff works. So let me know if you need that accountability group, or if you are disciplined by yourself, then great. But if anybody needs, if there is enough demand, then I'll probably try to create one. That enough demand is, say, 20-25 people. I think that should be a good demand. Accountability partner, definitely, Maitri. I mean, but the thing is, how do we pair people up? Like what I've seen, and I have studied about it. So if you remember, we were talking about creating a paid community, right? So at that time I was reading about it. So what happens with this accountability thing is, sometimes if so there are two people who would be accountable for each other. What happens is, if one people slightly slows down and the other person also at the same time slightly slows down, then the entire thing just gets off the rail, right? Or if one person just stops giving a shit, then that partner is gone and this person is single it. So I have read about it in some of these communities while I was thinking to create a paid community. So the partner thing has this problem, although it is uh, more into solving the problem of accountability thing, but then it just is a tough one to find the right partner. So yeah, would love to be a part of this group. Okay, so do one thing. If you please join the WhatsApp community and post it in that group that you are interested, so that, and if you want to tag me or Maitri, you can tag as well that you are interested in joining the accountability group. If we get enough people interested, then we can start one. The main reason for us is, it's a overhead for us also, right? Like we already have, like, I don't know how many groups we have. 4 into 4, 16, 17 groups now, right? Or maybe 15 odd groups we already have. So to manage all of that, again, we are not exactly managing, but at least we are moderating the chats and stuff like that. So it takes a lot of bandwidth from us, right? So, and we have other stuff. We are doing this live, we need to bring in guests, we need to do brand deals to really get money to pay for this live setup, and create content. uh, all of different things are also there, right? So this is over it. So we need to have enough demand for this to really, start something like this. It might sound like it's nothing, it might sound like it's just another WhatsApp group, but trust me, it needs some attention, right? So let me know, we can experiment with this, but I need enough what do you call it, enough demand for this. Hmm, where were we? Yeah, I wanted to share my screen. Since 1 hour, I've been trying to share my screen, but thanks for all the questions. Cool. Give me a second. Wait, damn it. Wrong screen shared. Wait, wait. Sometimes I feel I am so technically challenged. It's a Chrome tab, entire screen. Yeah, this one. Cool, amazing. Works right. Nice. Cool. So, in today's video that I had shared around 3 p.m., the first part was around what all different jobs that you can do based on your interest other than UX, right? Uh, I told you the reason. The reason is you can start with X and then later become UX designer. So don't take that pressure that, if the UX market is bad, then I'll have to wait 1 year to get a job. Just get any of these jobs and then you can enter UX parallelly as well, right? So that's there. Commit, I just told you that expect things to be tough, right? And go tough on yourself as well, right? Which is you will be doing a lot of boring stuff. You need to go deep. You need to give at least 8 hours, or at least try for 8 hours. If it is 6 hours also, that is fine. And obviously expect things to be tough for you. Like, I'm sorry, but you are in a bad market and you need to, if you have the luxury of time, then please give it to this. And remember how tough your childhood was. Right? You used to go to what, school, tuition, homework, all of that you used to do, right? And you were like a irresponsible child, and still you were able to pull all of that off. That was definitely more than 8 hours, right? So please remember your childhood, that you were working harder. Now at least you can at least you can work that much hard or more than that, right? Next is what all artifacts. I've already talked about it. Mm, this one I think I'll just explain again. Two things to note when you are learning any skill, right? There will be two kind of skills. One will be discrete, which is you start learning that topic and then after a point of time you know that okay, this topic ended. For example, if I want to learn about what is emotional design, I'll pick up a book by Don Norman called Emotional Design. Page 0, page 277, your book is over. You learned emotional design, right? But if I talk about improving communication skill, it has no page 277, right? It is a lifelong process of improving your communication. So you have your start point, end point skills, and then your skills which has a start point but has no end point, right? So we'll encounter two kinds of skills that will be required in UX. Then what other thing to note here is initially, in your first 1 2 3 months, you will be bombarded with a new concepts, like a lot of new concepts, right? The density of new lessons is going to be very high. While when you spend about 3 months 6 months into learning, the number of new lessons you will not face that much, right? You will find the same subjects, same concepts, but maybe in a slightly deeper manner, right? So be ready that your life is going to look like this. Initially a lot of new lessons, and then the lessons are going to be lesser but deeper, right? So that's there. This I don't want to again go through this. I have already spent 45 minutes talking about this, but I'll talk about just enough research. This book, right? um, for a very long time I was looking at what can be this one source of you know UX research that I can recommend easily, and I was looking for such a place to basically refer to people, right? um, and in 2021 I think someone introduced me to Just Enough Research, and I read it and I was like, yes, exactly, this is exactly what I was looking for. Because the way I learned about UX research was reading a lot of blogs that were scattered all around in the medium .com space, right? So it was tough to really give this one place, go there and read everything about UX research. That was tough to do. But this particular book is really good. I would highly recommend this book. I don't have it, but I read the PDF version of it someone had given me. I don't have it anymore, so don't ask me. But you can also search for it and find it out, or you can buy it from Amazon. Although these books are slightly expensive. So these books are usually like 2000, 2500 kind of expensive. So yeah. Then this guy, Nick Babich, I don't know how to pronounce it. Let's call him Nick for now. So Nick used to write a lot of blogs. He still writes a lot of blogs, but why I have recommended this is, okay, anonymous, I don't know your name, so what can we do? I got that you need attention, so you have got my attention. Thank you. So commonly used UI patterns. So what this guy has done is he has written a lot of blogs. Around 2022, he has written a lot of blogs around different UI patterns. What are the pros and cons of different UI patterns, right? So definitely give it a read. That is very useful. And obviously, you have your Apple guidelines and Material Design 2 guidelines. In one of the podcast with Rajat Patel, who is the lead designers on design systems at PhonePe, he was telling that Material Design 3.0 is not that well documented like Material Design 2.0. So please go ahead and study Material Design 2.0 rather than 3.0. And then Apple iOS guidelines. These are very useful for UI patterns, right? There is a series that I had created, Figma series. I know I have only covered till basic navigation and auto layout, but this is a very good start. To be very honest, I have put in a lot of effort to structure these course, right? So there are only 3 lessons for now. All these lessons will come later. You can also do away without it for the time being, but 100% I would recommend actually my own channel itself, right? So yeah, definitely look at those content. UX writing, chodo, mobbing, dribble, Pinterest, this is like standard stuff. Thinking with type, again another book which I'll 100% recommend. There was another book also, I don't remember, but if you can see the background, this is a xerox of a particular book, right? I think this is Thinking with Type. Let me bring that out. So when I was at NID, I used to basically xerox some of these books, and then do all of this highlight and stuff. So I don't know if it is visible. If you're on a mobile, then 100% is not visible. But this is a very easy to recommend book called Thinking with Type by Ellen Lupton. By the way, there is also another book on type, which I'm not recommending, but it is actually much better than Thinking with Type. But the only way, or the only reason I'm not recommending that book, that is that same book that is here, is because it is super super lengthy, very detailed about typography, and I think most of the time you'll not find it on Amazon. Somehow it was available in NID campus, so I had xeroxed it. Mm, but it is super detailed. I don't want you to spend so much time on typography. Like, it is extremely detailed. Although typography is like the god tier lesson that you should learn when it comes to graphic design or visual design. It is said that typography is the spine of graphic design, right? So it is a very super important topic, but I don't want you to recommend, I mean, I am not interested in recommending that book. That is super heavy. But definitely this book can be completed in 1 week, or maybe lesser than that as well, right? And by the way, when you're reading book, it's not like you only read that book. Try other things and also read the book before sleeping. So yeah. Recraft, I have already created Recraft AI. Let me just write it, otherwise you'll not get it. So Recraft AI is this one tool which I believe is a mid journey killer, is a flux killer, and is also free. That's why I have created a separate video on Recraft AI. It can create vectors, so that's why it is great for vectors, again in different styles, right? So that's why I feel it is great for product illustrations or illustrations for apps and websites. So 100% give it a try. First, watch my video. If you don't watch my video, that is fine, but if you watch my video, you will get all the different capabilities that this tool has, right? So 100% try it out, Recraft AI. Baki Chat GPT and Google Gemini and Claude AI, Perplexity, all of that, though, I'm assuming you know. If you don't know, then I mean, come out of the cave. Anyway, material symbols plugin. It's a plugin in Figma. Let me show you how that looks like. Go to plugin material symbols. I don't know if it is showing for you. Let me. Yeah, nice. It is showing for you. So why I always recommend material design plugin is because you get control over your um, icons, right? You can make it outlined, rounded, or sharp. You can have it filled or not filled. You can change the weight, right? You can see this is thin icon. You can make it thick icons. You can have it standard, and yeah, I mean those are main three things. And then you can also search for this icon. For example, if I want to search for chevron, okay, and I don't know that that particular shape is called chevron, I can just search for arrow, okay, and still this thing comes up. This thing's name is actually not, okay, this thing is called arrow back, but it's actually chevron is, what is it called? Let me see, it's chevron, right? Even if I search arrow, it still shows chevron, which means it has a intelligent search built into it, right? I don't have to really write the exact word. So your unintelligent search is basically only if I type in CHER, then only this will show, right? But this is more intelligent in the sense that there is some form of mapping that is done between the meaning of the word and the shape of, or the shape that is showing up here, right? So hence it is very easy to find your icons as well, right? Hence I use this material design plugin. What else? I mentioned here that Perplexity is a very good tool for secondary research because it searches the web and then summarizes things and also gives you references from where it got those ideas. So, very important for secondary research. Secondary research is nothing but you sit on your desk and look at your competitors, look at the market, look at other insights, any other data, any interesting vlog, whatever, right? So, those things are called secondary research. Perplexity is a good tool. You can also use ChatGPT browse or something like that is built into ChatGPT, right? You can use that as well. Hmm. I think I forgot to mention about, I don't know where will I actually write it, but let me write it here. This is the Bible of UX design, right? Nielsen Norman Group blog. This is a very useful, important place to learn UI UX design. I mean, again, it's not super structured, I would say, but the kind of things that they post is very well researched and well written and also very simplified as well, right? So go for this as well. Nielsen Norman, Don Norman and Jacob Nielsen, the two forefathers of um, two forefather two fathers of UX design. Usually we keep on saying that Norman is the father of UX design, but Nielsen also has contributed a lot to the foundations of interaction design and things like that. So UX writing, I don't know where to really look for this, but maybe just do a simple search on medium.com and you'll find. Okay, these things are fine. Portfolio, actually, I used to have a course around portfolio, how to, basically, I had a masterclass on how to create a portfolio. It had great reviews. I think it had around 4.8 star out of 5. 300, 350 people had purchased that course. But then what happened was I was hosting it on a platform. Let me just stop sharing the screen. So what happened was I was hosting it on a platform called Graphy. Graphy is by Unacademy. And they had told me that they will not charge me anything, right? And because some part of how much I was earning from the course went to them. I think 10% or something like that. So they said that will not charge that fee of 20 25,000 whatever they charge annually for creators. So that's why I said, okay, let's join Graphy and host my course there. And then suddenly this year they were like, okay, we want to charge you. I was like, I was told that I will not be charged, but then they were like, okay, I'll charge you. And I was like, "Hmm, thank you." I'll host it somewhere else. So that's why at this point I do not have the course with me. So I cannot really say that go and buy the course and blah blah. Whenever that course comes in, what I'll do is I'll take a lot of feedback that you guys had given. I'll add a lot of new learnings that I had. I'll also add a bit of AI understanding, because when I had built that course, AIs were not doing a great job, so I had not introduced the layer of AI to it. But now I can introduce AI to it. What I can do, think about the current job market and add some insights into it as well. I can add some of the some of the conversations that I have had with industry experts into that as well. But whenever that course will be launched, it will be UX Masterclass 2.0. I don't know when I'll create that, but first I need to settle in personal life, and then we'll think about it. So that is like only after mid of March is when I'm going to think about it. For now, we are great. We are fine. Not even mid of March. I think beyond April only I'll think about it. For now, I'm not looking at it. So yeah, that's a bummer. But yeah, let me look at your chats now. How to join WhatsApp community? Hmm. Yeah, I think Maitri has already answered it. The description under my latest video has WhatsApp community link. That is correct. Or in fact, under any of my video, there is the same link. So you can go and click on that. Find my WhatsApp community, join there. Is there a Discord community? No, I have actively chosen not to go for Discord. Even though Discord was my first choice in 2019, I saw that very few people will join that. Few people in the sense that only the young people will join Discord. And then that Discord culture of, all those stickers and blah blah whatever, uh, bots and stuff like that would be useful. But the thing is, you're looking for mentorships. People who mentor you are 5 years older than you or 10 years older than you. They are not on Discord. So, and they don't play games, or they are not part of any streamers Discord, or they're not interested in cryptocurrencies and have joined Solana, Falana, Dhinkana. Right? So your mentors are not on that platform, so it is not useful for you. I mean, they will never come and help you on Discord. So that's why I discontinued Discord. I tried Telegram. It had the same thing. The retention basically drops after a point of time. The only thing that has worked is WhatsApp. So we have a WhatsApp community. We don't have one WhatsApp community. We have four WhatsApp community, because WhatsApp has a limit of 2000 members per community, and we are already around 6000 or more than 6000. So we have the fourth community that is running right now, and it is a pain in the back to really manage those, but we are somehow liking the problem that we have. I think we don't have a Discord community. You're right. We are. When are we doing portfolio review? So recently, I had collected a lot of your guys' portfolio, right? And I was thinking to create a video out of it, but then I actually have the portfolios opened with me. I'm not sure if I want to share it or not. I'll not share it. When we'll do. But the thing is, I didn't get time. I got engaged. So to my three. So that's where all the time and effort went. But yeah, that's why there is a delay in some of these particular content, right? So when personal life is happening, we'll stack some of those other things behind. But I'll try to do that portfolio review. Okay, I think it will take maybe this year. We'll try to do one, but let's see. What is the scope of freelance work in UI UX? Not sure. I mean, I recently did, not recently, but 6 months back, when I was switching between jobs, a freelance project came to me. Thanks to again referrals, and I think the money there was quite good. It was quite good. It was more than how much I was earning, right, in per month from salary. Um, but the thing is, I don't find it sustainable, right? I have not seen a single UI UX designer who is at that level that their name is going to bring them projects. You have to actively keep looking for leads, right? That is where I feel you will have your good days and bad days, and it is not that sustainable. Also, if you are a UX designer of one person, and then this client just come up with your, like, they just come to you to build certain things, then you'll not get mentorship. That is the biggest problem. You will not learn as you build, right? That is the biggest problem with UI UX. Otherwise, one off freelance work here and there you can do for money, and that is fine. Or you can do for whatever, like fun or whatever, that is fine. But in general, it's a tough career, really, to be a freelance UI UX designer. I don't really recommend it. One off, yes, but as a career, a bit risky. I think you are missing out on a few things. I would rather recommend you a job rather than a freelance opportunity. How is the current job market? Like I've said, it's tough, and it's going to be only tougher because what is really happening is more and more people are standing in line. So when you are going to stand in line, there will be already enough people waiting for this one job, and that door is not opening very soon. There are not enough doors that needs to open. So there is a lot of crowd that is waiting in front of those doors. Like I said, people with 2 years experience are also applying for entry level jobs. People with 1 year experience are applying. People with internship experience are applying. People out of good college are applying. People out of engineering colleges are applying. People out of IITs are applying. Out of NIDs are applying. People who have waited in the line for 2 years are applying. People with who have waited in line for 1 year are applying. So that is a lot of competition that is waiting for you. So it is only going to get tough with time, because the number of people waiting are only increasing, right? So even if the job openings are going to be, let's say, reopened, like a 2020 market, let's say, comes up, or a 2019 market, 2020 I don't know, but 2019, which is the standard market, comes up again, I can't really say that the market is going to be less tough for you, because the number of people waiting outside is only increasing. Okay, the next one. Getting internship in UI UX is also tough now. Also, many people on LinkedIn tells to become a good visual designer before deep diving into UX. What is your opinion on this? Like I said, yeah, visual design has become the elimination criteria, because a lot of people see now the basics of UX is something that almost everybody through a cohort, not through a cohort, are able to get it, because so much of education is available, right? So we usually find a lot of people with that, right? But when it comes to craft, you got to have, like, craft, man. Like, if you don't have the craft, then somebody with the craft is going to take the position, right? So try to build as much advantages as possible, and try to cover up as many disadvantages or gaps as possible. And hence somebody is saying that you should have visual design skills. I completely agree with that. That don't don't leave that blank space. No, why do you have so much time and you are not learning visual design? Like, what are you doing with your time? So fill in those gaps. Okay. In your first job, how much was your salary? I'll tell you. I'll tell you something else. So obviously not revealing the number doesn't make sense, but in my college I had three job offers. So I was at NIT Raurkela, and at that time we used to have super dream offers, and normal offers. Okay, super dream was 8 lp above, then dream was I think 6 to 8, or maybe 5 to 8 or something like that, and then normal was anything 3 3.5 to 5 or 6, something like that, right? So I had two jobs. One was a super dream, one was a dream, and none of them were from campus, all of them were from LinkedIn, and I'm talking about 2016, in my final year. Actually, the first job, which was the dream job, I had got it in my third year itself. And I don't know what kind of company they were. They were willing to wait for 1 year for me to graduate and join them. So I kept applying at different places, and I got another job which was in that super dream category. I won't reveal how much it was, but whatever that amount was, I left all that amount and I joined a company called Tally, uh, for a salary which was almost less than half of what I had had in offer, right? And the only reason I joined it was because I saw the potential to grow there, right? Again, Tally is not a great what do you call it, great visual design heavy product, right? But they are one of the monopoly in that market. I think it is the only family run technology business in India. I think that's the case. Technology or technical product company in India, family run technical product company in India. And I joined it because Shama Russell, who was my first mentor in industry, uh, she was the one who was there. I talked with her. I found her, very knowledgeable, and I thought she is one person who will push me into learning different things. And she had, in her call only, told me that you can learn this skill, that skill, blah blah blah, because we have this scope and so on. So because that person on the call told me or gave me a roadmap that these are some of the projects that we have and would like you to contribute to it, and we know you are super fresh, but we'll still take a chance on you, and I'll be there to help you learn different things. So that assurance really was more important to me than the money. So I chose mentorship over money, and I pretty much left almost a lot of salary, and I joined this company called Tally. So yeah, I had a super dream offer, but I went for a normal offer. Okay, I think with that I have given so many numbers anyway. Anyway, forget. Uh, any tips to get ideas for concept case studies for portfolio? Try to solve problems around you if you can. Otherwise, look for niche problems, right? So if something is solved in the US or for Bangalore, how can you solve the same thing in a different context altogether? And I always give this example of Zomato. Zomato has solved food delivery, right? How about prasad delivery from a particular temple, right? What are certain things that you need to think about? So what did I do? I basically took a solution that exists elsewhere, but then I contextualized into a smaller niche, right? So that is one way. Or you change the persona, right? For example, how about helping people, Airbnb, but then what about office outing? Can there be a Airbnb for office outing wherein teams of 200 members, 100 members usually go out, right? So is there a Airbnb for office outing, right? So what did I do? I took a already existing solution, I contextualized into a particular small segment. Now it might not make a business sense to have that idea, or it might make, I don't know. But the thing is, it is an interesting problem to solve, right? Like, forget the business side of it, right? At your level, nobody is expecting you to really go deep and solve some really unit economics of a particular business or anything like that. But at least this is one way to create or to find interesting problem to solve, right? So I mean, if you ask any entrepreneur, they will have like hundreds of such ideas in place, but they're not investing in it because they have limited time, energy, and also because it does not make business sense to solve it. So, or maybe the market is not ready, the technology is not ready, that's why they don't solve it. So, um, but for your case study, what you can do is you pick any solution that exists already in the market and then you contextualize it to something very small, right? Um, okay. Next, in your opinion, I think right now I'm only talking to Vivek and Patil. So, Vivek, Patil, and Pratik. So please, if any other person also has any queries, question, please continue posting. We'll continue this for another 15 minutes and then we'll close it. So please shoot your questions. So the next question is, in your opinions, who are making more money? Working UI UX, selling UI UX course? Depends on their experience, by the way, right? So I know some people who earn quite a lot. So that's there. People who are also selling UI UX. I'll I'll tell you one of the reality. Okay, I'll not take the name of that cohort because most of you will not know that cohort. Okay, it's not a popular cohort, but they wanted me as one of their mentor, and they said, uh, "We'll pay you X, and you need to give 2 to 4 hours per week to go and teach. Come and teach here." I was like, "Okay, and what else?" And they're like, "We will charge." No, I asked them, "How much will you charge people, and what would be your classroom size?" 30 people, around 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh rupees per that course. So I was like, okay, so you would be making around 30 to 45 lakhs in 6 months. Why are you then paying me only 5-10% of that? I'm the one who is creating the course. I'm the one whose face you're going to put and then drive people. I'm the one who has the distribution right now. So your first cohort or first batch is going to be driven because of my content and my reputation. So why should I get like 5% of what you are making, right? I think they mentioned some, I don't remember, I think 30-40,000 or something like that they mentioned, I don't remember. But then they told me the truth is they said, and also I have to create the course for them. I was like, that's like intellectual property, right? And you want to have that intellectual property with you, what the fuck? Right? That is my course, my slides, everything, right? Somebody says 11K designers, no, no. Yeah. So, and I was like, so where does your money go then, right? They were like, once we start creating ads, 70 to 75%, 70 to 80% of whatever revenue they're generating, they're going to put into ads. So imagine like 25-30 lakhs goes into fucking ads. And the teacher who has created the course, who is driving the distribution, who is driving the class, who is taking the classroom, who is clearing the doubts, who is reviewing people's work, who is accountable for you to get the fucking job, he's getting 5% of it, and everything just goes into attracting people to join this, right? That is the exact problem that is happening with any of this UX cohort, right? This is the exact same thing that is happening, right? Which is all of the focus is on how do we get leads, right? And advertising on these platforms, Instagram, Facebook, though nobody is there to really look at. But especially, I mean, nobody is there in the sense that this particular cohort of designers do not exist so much on Facebook. But then running fucking 30 lakhs of ads to get 30 students, I'm like, that's crazy, right? Like, of course, high ticket value things, you have to run that level of ads. High ticket value, again, like if you want to sell 499 rupees course, that is easier to sell. You can sell it on Instagram right now. I think 299 or 399 is what is going on with Instagram. You guys would know better because these days I'm not getting those ads. Fuck, my phone is here, so now it has listened. Now I'll start getting those ads. But but mm, yeah, so high ticket value is basically if you want to make somebody pay 1 lakh rupees, that's almost like making somebody pay what uh, pay for a Tata Nano, right? Think about how much marketing cost goes into making somebody pay 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh rupees to buy a particular car. Similar effort they also want to put in. They're like, fuck it, like I'm not going to. Anyway, I was not interested in teaching in any of the cohorts. That's a different thing. Like I have everything with me to start my own cohort. If I really have that much time, then I'll start my own cohort, right? Why should I start or be a guest lecture? I'm okay with being one of guest lecture, or maybe taking a small module, whatever interests me. But it just did not make sense to get like 5% of whatever that big amount was, 30, 40 lakhs, whatever, right? So yeah, I forgot what was the question. Who is making more money? Definitely the person who is doing UI UX job actually, because selling course, yes, starting may you are going to see a lot of spike, but then your back book is going to burn, which is, even if I start a UI UX cohort, what is my influence? Let's say 10,000 people know me as a UI UX designer. So from that, maybe one cohort, two cohort I will run, right? And later, after everybody that know me have signed up or have decided to not sign up, then that backbook is gone, right? What is left is for me to then run ads, and then running ads is expensive. Or I keep creating content and drive people, right? So yeah, it is tough. The margin basically reduces with time. Even as a influencer, creator, whatever you want to call me, even with that also I'm not very comfortable with starting my own cohort. But yeah, the thing is, over a period of time your margin is actually going to reduce as ads are going to eat up all that margin, right? Have you read the book of Don Norman, The Design of Everyday Things? What your takes on that? Would you recommend us to read the book? I don't know, everybody recommends reading this book. In 2015 I was at IIT Bombay under Anirudh sir. Again, IDC may interaction design head. So somehow everybody suggested me this Don Norman book there, and I was in my third year doing some internship at IIT, working on a product called Swara Chakra. And I don't know, I never read that book entirely, and still I got into design. So not sure. Everybody recommends it mainly because I think it gives a good introduction to what design is and what design is not, right? So, and also it gives you a lens of a designer, so which is why I have not read. But one of my idea was actually to read that book and create chapter by chapter video of that, like what are the three things that this chapter teaches you, what are the three things that this chapter teaches you. But somehow I don't know. Actually, I used to have that book. I gave to somebody in NID and they never returned. So that happened. I don't have that book anymore. I don't know. Pratik says it's a must read. He's the man himself. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can try. But I would highly suggest Nilsen Norman group blog, because that is more practical lessons. And I'm not saying this is very theoretical. It also gives you a particular lens, and that is very useful. So yeah, Don Norman was okay. Let me pin this. Don Norman was the first person to coin the term user experience. Before that, also humans were designing products. So coining the term user experience, he also regrets, by the way, calling it user experience. Recently had posted, and I've also created a video on it. Don Norman himself also mentioned that on LinkedIn, saying that he regrets calling it user experience. He wants to call it now human experience, because user seems like it just dehumanizes humans, right? It seems like user, I don't know, like how we call, like before killing a person, how we call somebody as target, right? The target is locked, and then you kill that person. You don't say whatever, like uh, Miss Sehnaz is on the target, and Sehnaz has two children, and her husband is taking water from the well. You don't say that. You say the target is locked, and then you shoot. Right. So you dehumanize that person, and you call it a target or a threat, and then you kill them. Right. Similarly, when doctors are operating, I think they call them patients rather than humans. So it dehumanizes humans. So even though he has coined the term user experience, he regrets calling them users. So yeah, I missed a question of yours. Let's go through this then. What do you think about designers going on founder route, founding own design focused startups, for example, Cron? I have heard about Cron a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what they do, but it's always encouraging for me to see designers start their own thing. Even for designers starting their own cohorts, like I really like the fact that Abhinav Chikara went ahead and built 10K, right? So I mean, whether they are teaching, not teaching, that's a very personal experience that you guys can think about. But what I really admire about him is he took that chance. Like he was head of design at an academy. He left that comfort zone and started something that is, you know, really interesting. And I think among all the cohorts that I have heard about, uh, 10K is rather a more well reputed one than the other ones for some reason. At least in my echo chamber, I've heard the same thing. But then I really admire people, especially designers, getting out of the way and leaving the comfort zone and starting something on their own, which is really nice. Cron is a calendar that got acquired by Notion. Okay, nice. That's good. I think Airbnb, Brian Chelsky is also a designer, then become a founder. A lot of these famous designers have also, gotten out of a particular company and then started their own design agency. So I admire that. I admire people who start their own thing. It's not easy. Like even if somebody comes out and does content creation at scale, at frequency, then I also admire them as well. So anybody who tries out new things, tries out creative things, tries out bold things, does thing out of the box, goes against the flow, I think we all should celebrate them, irrespective of whether their impact is positive, negative, they failed, they did not fail, they succeed, not succeed, all of that is separate. But the fact that they were able to leave a comfortable life and start something bold is definitely commendable. So uh, kudos to everybody who has done that. And I usually encourage people to keep trying something on the sides on their own, because as designers we have the leverage point of understanding users. Like if you pick up any bloody business book, right, the first thing that they will tell you is learn about the user, right? It's almost like design is the core of any business, right? Or user is the core of design, and design is the core of the business, right? Or design thinking is the core of business, building a business. So we designers have the leverage of how to think about users, how to build something that will be liked by people, right? If we have those leverages, we definitely are at a nice vantage point to start our own thing, right? So 100% cheering for people to start their own thing, be it your content, be it your cohort, be it your lesson, be it your course, be it your company, be it your agency, whatever it is. I think I'll be the first person to cheer for anybody who goes out of a job way and starts something on their own. All right. How do I still have a voice by talking for 1.5 hours is something that I don't know. This is fucking winter. In NID exam, the sketching questions are based on discipline, or is it the same for everyone? Not sure. I think the pattern has changed over time. I don't remember what has changed, but all I know is the same pattern that I had applied to is not existing anymore. I think it has become more of subject specific. I am not sure because I'm not keeping track of what is happening around NID. You can figure it out, but most likely, I think it has become disciplined focused. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was something that I had heard the last time. Maybe the aptitude questions have become more discipline focused. I don't know so much about sketching. Try to get hold of one of those previous year questions or anybody who has recently joined an ID. They would be able to help you out. I'm graphic designer transitioning into UI UX design. What specific skills or knowledge would you recommend I focus on to excel in this field? That's the entire video. That's that's that YouTube video that I had posted 6 hours back. Now 8 hours back, which was at 3 p.m. today. Posted. Please go ahead and watch that video. There are about 112 skills that I've talked about, and I've given, I've bucketed them into different groups. I've also given us timeline, or if you have joined the call right now, I've told you why 6 months is good enough, why 3 months can be also good enough as a timeline for you to go through all these 112 lessons. Again, I have not counted, by the way. 112, I think it's more than that or less than that, I don't know. But it's somewhere around that. I saw 100, around 100, and then I was like, okay, this seems like another 10, 12. So I thought, okay, 112 sounds like a good number. So yeah, maybe it's more than that, I don't know, but there are 112 lessons in my last video. That's like the syllabus of UX. It's not the exhaustive syllabus, but then it covers pretty much all the themes that is required to crack your first UX job. So yeah, users and marketing are advantages for designers. Yes. Marketing, I don't know. You can watch his recent roadmap video. 100%. Thanks, Pratik, for mentioning that. My thesis 2 hours milestone has been broken. Yes, we hadn't done a live for a very long time, so I thought let's do this live. Cool. If there are no more videos, it's 11:15. Good time to close this live. Or if you have any other questions, I see slightly spike in the number of people who have joined in. So if there are any other questions, then please shoot. Color selection skills, go to the future channel, FUTUR, and then sort their videos by most popular. uh, Two videos around color theory are among their top 10 videos. I'm not talking about their shorts, I'm talking about their videos. And you can learn about color from there, color selection, especially color selection from there, right? Also, there is another book. Okay, that book is called Interaction of Color. Again, slightly expensive books, but smaller book. That is also pretty useful. That also you can use. Typography, I have mentioned that this is a Xerox copy of Ellen Lupton's what is that thing called, Thinking with Type. That is a very nice book. You can read from that. Again, the book cost slightly high, which is perhaps 1000 to 2000 rupees, somewhere between that. So yeah. All right, with that we'll have to close. Thank you for joining in, and see you in the next live stream. And please watch that video that I had uploaded earlier. Okay. I'll just answer this last question and we'll be off. So, is design degree compulsory? In this live stream only, I have answered that it is not compulsory. Um, that's it. It is not compulsory. When I joined Zeta, there were only 3 people with design degree, including me. There were 17 odd people without design degree. All the people who took my interviews, I think among 4 rounds, 3 of them were by non-design degree people. Most of the companies where I've joined in, 90% of them have no design degree. Uh, so design degree is not compulsory, and a lot of designers I admire do not have a design degree as well. So in fact, a lot of designers who teach at NID may not have a design degree. Design degree may have architecture background or some other background. So design degree is not a compulsory at any point. Again, thank you so much. Bye bye. And do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also watch the video if you haven't. So